She was abducted twice, a story so unique that it's become a documentary and podcast. But Jan Broberg says the full picture still hasn't been told. Earlier, I spoke with Jan, who wants to set the record straight. But first, let's catch you up on her amazing story. It's October 17th, 1974. The first time Jan Broberg's life changes forever. The then 12-year-old is kidnapped by her neighbor, Robert Berchtold. They head to Mexico, where Jan is legally allowed to get married. During the trip, he brainwashes her, saying she is supposed to have his baby to save an alien race. Young and innocent, Jan believes him. While crossing the U.S. border to come back home, Robert is arrested. He blames the disappearing act on his depression, and Jan defends him. Berchtold's traps had worked.
Jan Broberg and Robert Berchtold had an unnatural relationship.
I loved him as deeply as I've ever loved anyone.
Before the kidnapping, he spent years earning the Brobergs' trust. He even started a secret affair with both Jan's mom and Jan's dad. But while out on bond for kidnapping charges, the affairs become blackmail. Robert uses them to lessen the charges. He is sentenced to 5 years, but serves only 10 days. Fast forward 2 years to the summer of 1976, when Robert kidnaps Jan for a second time.
There'll never be anybody for me but Jan. Never.
The now 14-year-old still believes she is destined to have Robert's child, so she actually runs away from home. Robert enrolls her in an all-girls school in California so he can visit. Jan is eventually found by FBI agents, and Robert is arrested for kidnapping again, but he is never convicted. At age 17, Jan tells her family the truth, writing a book with her mom. Robert denies the claims, committing suicide in 2005. Well, earlier I spoke with Jan to get the details she says her Netflix documentary got wrong. Take a look at this. Jan Broberg joins us now. Thank you, Jan, first off, for taking the time out of your day to be here on the show. So many people wonder why your parents never took any legal action once you told them the truth. Do you wish that they had, or are you happy with their decision?
Well, they didn't know until I was 17 years old and he was long gone.
Right.
At that point, you really don't know what to do. You've gone on with your life. Everybody wants to put it behind them. This is very common even today, that people don't go back and find the person. He wasn't married to his wife anymore. She had divorced him. He had moved around, didn't really know where he was. And I didn't want to talk about it anymore. I wanted to be done. I was heading off to college, and it really wasn't until my early to mid-20s that I really started to explore what had happened and write about it and call my parents and ask them questions and you know, why didn't you know? How couldn't you see it? You know, all those things that I went through. But it was very short-lived because I had parents that listened to me, loved me unconditionally, and I was one of those lucky ones that it wasn't in my family. It wasn't one of them. They were innocent too. They'd been manipulated and brainwashed as well.
I want to ask about that, Jan. Talk to me about what you call, and which is so true, the grooming process of not just you, but your whole family.
So the grooming process is as simple as becoming friends with a family. I mean, that grooming was all about picking the kids up and taking them to school, and talk to my mom, you know, while she's doing the breakfast dishes at the kitchen sink, or go get my dad and, hey, let's go to lunch. And those were all ways of grooming and manipulating somebody.
I wanted to ask you, you don't seem to have a lot of anger towards your family and your parents. You seem to really forgive, respect, and love them. Talk to me about how that misconception is out there.
Yeah, that was really hard for me because the first time I saw the documentary, I was like, this isn't who my parents are. My parents made mistakes like most human beings do throughout the course of their life. They make a mistake, they do something that they regret, that they wish they hadn't done. But my parents were completely innocent. I had 12 perfect childhood years. if it was a red flag, my wonderful parents would have shut it down, put him in jail, or done whatever they had to do, but they didn't know, because it's so not obvious. They're so very sly.
That's why he's
successful. That was really hard.
Let me say I have that feeling with my family, that weird intuition, right? That ripple that you feel. What should I do, Jan, if I feel that?
This is really good, because I've spoken to a number of police departments, and I've gotten feedback from them, and what they told me is the most important thing is to keep a record. Like, on this day, at this time of day, when this was happening, I had this gut ripple, or, you know, I call it that little wave that goes through your gut for just a second. But they said if you keep a record, that the pattern will start to emerge, and even if it's only 3 or 4 things that you write down, you should file it, go to the police department, and start a file.
Right, so make sure you document, journal, take the dates down. And I got to be honest with you, you're saving lives by telling people right now to listen to that wave of intuition. Literally, you're saving lives. Now, before we go, a lot of people who know your story and saw the documentary, they just want to know how you're doing. How are you, and what's the future look for you? How are you doing, Jan?
I'm doing great, and I'm very excited because we've signed the papers to do a 10-part scripted series on my story, so I can tell the full story.
Bravo. Jan, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Really appreciate it, and I'm telling you right now, you are saving lives. Thanks so much. We'll be right back.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.